This is ABC-7 News, Chicago's #1 news with Jose Sanders, Judy Sue, weather with meteorologist Tracy Butler, and Roz Barron's traffic. This is ABC-7 News this morning.
Coming up today on the news at 11, some residents in the far north and northwest suburbs were gently rocked by a small earthquake. We'll have a live report.
Also, voters in Florida are at the polls for the winner-take-all Republican primary. And if you are counting calories, we will have some healthier alternatives to your favorite foods. The news at 11 is next.
This is ABC-7 News, Chicago's #1 news with Linda Yu, Sylvia Perez, and weather with meteorologist Tracy Butler. This is ABC-7 News at 11. Chicago's #1 news. This is ABC-7 News at 11.
Coming up next year on our news at 4, a building collapse on the city's south side sends 4 people to the hospital.
And back-to-back 50-plus is not too shabby for the end of January, but it's about to come to an end. I'll tell you how harsh the transition will be.
A man in Connecticut wakes up not to an alarm clock, but an SUV that lands on top of him. And Billy Crystal talks about getting to do his dream job again. The news at 4 is coming next.
Chicago's #1 news. This is ABC-7 News at 4. ABC-7 News at 4 continues with Alan Kraszewski, Linda Yu, Sylvia Perez, weather with meteorologist Mike Kaplan, and sports with Jim Rose. Chicago's #1 news. This is ABC-7 News at 4:30.
And I'm Ron Majors in the ABC-7 newsroom. Here's what's new at 5 o'clock. A jury in McHenry County is now deliberating in the trial of a man accused in the 2002 murder of a Northwest suburban teenager. We'll be live with the latest. Also, the new campaign to turn Chicago's historic Pullman neighborhood into a national park. And the first crackdown using new laws against drivers who misuse parking spots reserved for the disabled. Join Sylvia Perez and me for those stories and more coming up right here at 5.
Elderly friend who would say, that's a good start. Yeah. Okay. That wraps up our news at 4. Thanks for joining us. I'm Alan Kraszewski.
And I'm Linda Yu. The news now continues at 5 o'clock. And here are Ron and Sylvia.
Thank you so much, Linda and Alan. Coming up next at 5, a Northwest suburban father says he's hoping for justice as a jury deliberates at the trial of a man accused of killing his teenage son in 2002. We'll have a live report.
Also, the latest plan to try to keep unwanted Asian carp out of the Great Lakes.
Plus, the U.S. Postal Service is honoring a late Chicago publisher on the eve of Black History Month.
And we'll tell you what McDonald's is taking out its hamburgers.
News at 5 is next.
This is ABC-7 News, Chicago's #1 news with Ron Majors, Cheryl Burton, weather with meteorologist Jerry Taft, and sports with Mark Giangreco. This is ABC-7 News at 5. This is ABC-7 News, Chicago's #1 news with Alan Kraszewski, Kathy Brock, Chuck Gowdy's Intelligence Report, weather with meteorologist Jerry Taft, and sports with Jim Rose. This is ABC-7 News at 6.
Just ahead, Jerry tells us if any more 50s are in the forecast, the recall of 1 million packets of birth control pills, and ABC-7 catches up with Matt Damon in Chicago tonight.
This is ABC-7 News at 10, Chicago's #1 news. ABC-7 News at 10 continues with Ron Majors, Kathy Brock, Cheryl Burton, weather with meteorologist Jerry Taft, and sports with Mark Giangreco.